What up? Where my tea party at? Where my peoples is 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 at? It's tea time. Where my tea party at? Where my peoples is at? Holla at me. Clean the lens. Sure I'm looking sparkling new and handsome. You know, shady. What up, peeps? Deep. How are my peoples? Where's everybody at? 6 people watching. Let's go. My mother, Auntie Mary, how you doing? How are those sanctions going for you? Simama Shoka, what's up? D, what's up? Rainbow, Eden, Edna, I see you. The Encore brother, I see you. I see everybody. What's going on, people? It's tea time. The time when we have some tea. Uvokile, what up, Pat? I see you. Ah, what a beautiful day. What a beautiful day. What up, ladies and gentlemen? 26 of you watching, we can start. We said we'll start at 11. I think it's like 30 seconds to go till we start. So let's start when we start. You know, today we're going to talk about some of the lessons. You know, yesterday, after the live yesterday, I got into a lot of conversations. My phone blew up. I got a lot of conversations with people in support of Nelson Chamisa. I got a conversation with people in not support of Nelson Chamisa. You know, Socks, what up? Rainbow, what up? I see you guys. I see you. Numbers building. It's tea time. So yesterday I was in a lot of conversations. And I came to some conclusions, ladies and gentlemen. And these conclusions are what we're going to talk about mainly today. However, you know, as tea time, we're topical. We like to talk about things that are happening currently. Ladies and gentlemen, if you go into Harare town today, if you go to Harare town today, you'll see something phenomenal. On the showground side, you'll see thousands of people walking from the showgrounds into town. From the Colcom side, you see thousands of people walking from Colcom and Coca-Cola Corner into town. From Eastleigh side, you're seeing a lot of people coming all the way from like 7th Street into town. And down from 2nd Street Extension into town. What's happened is our government, our Ministry of Transport, and our local council. So we're talking. This is a tag team GNU between Zanu PF and MDC. Has decided that combis are now going to be stopped outside the town, outside Harare Central Town. Okay, now, as you know, the way things work is people come in from Chitungwiza, for example, they drop off at Copacabana. If they're going to Mount Pleasant, for example, they'll trot a couple of roads down to maybe Ruzende and then get the combis to what's it called? To Mount Pleasant. Okay. So what's happened now is people then get dropped off at Coca-Cola Corner, have to walk the 10Ks into town, and then from there walk to 2nd Street, and they now have to get the combis there. Or they can get onto these shuttles the government and the council have provided by these Zupco shuttles, which cost an extra 30 cents. Ladies and gentlemen, my heart broke as I was watching some of the live videos from Newsday. My heart actually broke. Because I saw why bad planning and lazy thinking. I saw why bad planning and lazy thinking can cause us all these kind of problems. The government that's in power right now is tired. The councillors who are in power right now are tired. They don't seem to have good ideas, and they don't seem to have a solution to the main problems that we have. You see, the main problem was there's congestion in town. The combis are causing shit in town, correct? That's a big problem. How do we solve the problem that Zimbabweans cannot afford cars in general and need to use these public transport modes to get into town? These public transport modes being the commuter omnibuses, the combis. Right now, Zupco has failed. This is the problem. Zupco, as the government failed to provide transport for its citizenry, so the public stepped in and started providing combis. Combis have been regulated, and so now they say they're causing so much shit. They must park outside of town. The council has been trying to grapple with this for ages. You see, the council has been in power for 20 years, and they failed to find a solution. They failed to find a workable solution. In the last 20 years, they didn't think of digging underground tunnels to have an underground system. You know, $15 billion could have built an underground system. They didn't think of anything of that. The government was so tired with Mugabe and all the Mugabeites, and then all the Mugabe must goes. See, the Mugabe must goes and the Mugabes together are tired, and they have no solution to a problem. Now, if their solution is stopping old ladies, pregnant women, people with disabilities, young students with no money, people with unemployment, people who got no money, trying to get from Chitungwiza to Ningirigini to Parenya to hospital to get checkups, because they fail to provide hospitals even that are workable in Chitungwiza. So people have to travel to Parenya to hospital. If they're getting an old lady, I mean, you go on my page, you see this old lady, and she had to walk for 2 hours from Corner to Parengatwa, because her combi normally used to drop her at Kapagabana, then she could jump on another one to Parengatwa. However, ladies and gentlemen, that lady had to walk for 2 hours. Mudiwa says walking is exercise. For a pregnant woman who's, let's say, 7 months pregnant, 8 months pregnant, going for a checkup at Parengatwa, for a person with disabilities, you see, people like Mudiwa Vimbiso are talking from a position of positionality. You see, able-bodied, strong. I bet you $1,000 this Mudiwa is probably a person who's living overseas with an underground system and a good bus system. You see, when you are in that positionality place where you can placate everyone and say, pregnant women, fuck them. People with disabilities, fuck them too. Because remember, the people using combis are the most vulnerable and the people with the least money in this community. See, it doesn't affect people like me. See, I'm a fat cunt. I'm the one who needs to walk, but I drive a vehicle. That's the thing. It doesn't affect fat bastards like me. Now, if it was just a fat bastard like me having to walk, I would say, fuck him, walk. But I'm saying, no, we're talking about the vulnerable people. Chemberi. People who need to get to where they're going quickly. People who have to get from Chitungwiza to town. 70-year-olds, little children. A mother with 3 children trying to get from Chitungwiza to Meborain now has got, in the middle of that, either has to pay 30 cents per person to jump on a shuttle to town, and then from town another shuttle to a new ET location, or she must walk it. That's a mother with 3 children. And this Mudiwa says they must walk. People like you, they make me sick. You're the problem. The reason why Zimbabwe is so fucked up. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I'll drive into town later and have a look. But right now, if you want to go and check out the situation currently in town, go on to Newsday's Facebook page. Newsday's got a full stream of videos. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's called Combi Wars. Go and see what the people are saying. People are frustrated. People are angry. This has not been a well thought out situation. It's not been a well thought out solution. And this is going to cause more problems. I used to hear a lot of pro-ED talk. Today on those Newsday channels, you'll hear a lot of anti-ED talk. You see, people are fed up. Tsvangirai's death has actually taught people that the opposition can rise up and say, fuck this. So there's actually now a sentiment of, no, fuck all this. All of this is bullshit. What people don't know is that this is unfortunately an MDC council and a Zanu PF government. See, they're all inept. It's time for an overhaul of the system. We need younger people. I challenge President Chamisa, acting President Chamisa, I challenge you to relook at your councillors. I challenge you to relook at your government policy. Give us a working document on how you would solve some of these transport problems in Zimbabwe, and we will vote for you. I promise you. Please give us a working solution, President Chamisa. You have the people, you have the mandate. Right now, people are following you right now, and they're saying, give us a solution. You can no longer give us those old Madara in the council, the MDC. I want plan Madara. Madara, plan. And the only way that we start working against each other is if you keep putting that old wood in that situation. They have no plan. They fail to deal with vendors. They fail to deal with a transport solution, and they're attacking the most vulnerable people. Tabo, Nemadara. So President Chamisa, you have an opportunity here. President ED, I don't know why you signed this off. I don't know why Zanu PF signed this off, considering they're so close to an election. Why would you want to piss off the entire urban population who can't afford vehicles? We'll talk about this more tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. We'll talk about this more tomorrow. Today our topic was simple. Pastor Mawari, I agree with you 100%, Pastor E. None of them care, Pastor E. They don't care. Pastor E, we need to go into town and check out what's going on. It's nonsense, bro. Please go and see the videos on Newsday. It'll make you mad, Pastor E. It'll make you, I don't know if you're back from Geneva. It'll make you fucking mad. What's happening? They have no plan, these Madara, man. They have no plan. They must just go. Pastor E, want you to stand for council, please. Come on, Pastor E. Everyone, give me a heart if you want Pastor E to stand for council. We need young people. We need young people with different minds. Come on. And Pastor E, please. You have our support. You have our support. We would like young people like you to come and solve some of these problems. People who can think about other issues other than their own pockets. Trying to charge Madara 30 cents to get from town to Copacabana, and then charge another 30 cents to get from Copacabana to 2nd Street to get to Paringato Hospital. Either provide more fucking hospitals or make the shuttles free. Come on, guys. It's so frustrating. Madara, I don't care about us. President Chamisa, you have an opportunity. Anyway, you see, the reason why, after yesterday's conversations with a lot of people, we've now got to a position, and now a new position, ladies and gentlemen. Where and you too, Kuda, don't worry about me. You know I'm already involved, guys. You're already, you know we're already involved. What happened to Vice President Thokozani Kupe last at the funeral of Trangirai was unacceptable. And I'm really sorry about what happened to her. Pastor E, let's do it. Yes, Pastor E, let's do it, man. Damn it, let's do it. What happened to Thokozani Kupe at the funeral was outrageous, ladies and gentlemen. We now accept that it was outrageous as a citizenry. And we hope that she reports this to the police, and we hope that the thugs who were involved in stoning her and whipping her are all brought to book, because she's protected under the constitution of the country. Forget the constitution of MDC. As a citizen, as a mother in this country, she has the rights to the protections and the right freedom of tenure and rights, so she can walk and be allowed to do to freely bury her colleague and her brother. What happened to her was outrageous. But you see, we're now in a world where the tide has changed. The tide has changed. You see, Chanyisa proved, without a shadow of a doubt to any of us, in the last couple of days, that he has a bunch of young people with him. Because the people who are being rowdy and saying, Gabu is Thokozani Kupe, where the young, and all my youth is at you. They are the voters in the next coming election, which is happening in roughly 2 months. You know, destiny favors the brave. He who dares wins. The young president took a chance. He took an opportunity and grappled and took the power. And the people supported it. You see, there is the reason why I tell this, what can MDC, NC learn from Zanu PF is this. Robert Mugabe overstayed his welcome. Robert Mugabe had a vice president named Mpoko, and they'd fired ED. But today, the person who is in charge, the president of Zimbabwe, who we all watch at Davos and we all pretty much say we're giving him 100 days, is pretty much, he took the power. He who dares wins. He took the grey reins. Now, constitutionally and unconstitutionally, like I said yesterday, there are too many loopholes within the constitution. There's 2 clauses you can follow, whether the National Council is the superior body of the NDC, or whether if it's the deputy president who takes over. Those things are now irrelevant. The tide has turned. Popular opinion has turned. The opposition is buoyed up, and they're now ready for war. And the war is the next election. The war is the next election. The next election is coming in 2 months. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to propose something here. I'm proposing that we stop talking about the factionalism. I'm proposing that we do what the same things that people like me said when Zanu did their implosion at the end of November. Let's also advise Chamisa to do the same thing. We need to move on. He needs to consolidate. He needs to get his party together. He needs to get rid of the people who don't want to be a part of it. So they must go. We must consolidate and get that opposition party in a fighting form for the next election, which is happening in 2 months. My reconciliation time. I'm proposing that today, ladies and gentlemen. Even though a few days ago I said we should be constitutionalists. But a lot of people phoned me yesterday and said, my nigga, we have no time to mess around with people who are using historical mandates when the popular opinion is now still in place. People actually want to move on. They want strong leadership, and they want the leadership to now give us policies and stuff that work us today. I want to be able now to speak directly to the acting president of the MDC and say, right, to get our support, we now need to see a proper manifesto. We would like to see a proper plan. What is your plan? Have you got a Zimbabwe Vision 2023? Have you got that? Because you cannot just say, because I'm young, I want you to vote for me. You cannot just say because I've got a crowd of people must vote for me. What we want now is we want a plan. I say let's stop playing around. Let's stop fucking around. We don't have the time. I would really, really like us to now move on with the arguments. And I would like Ncube to get justice. And I genuinely feel that if she actually takes Chamisa on in the Congress right now, she knows she would lose. And I believe that the right thing to do as politicians is to see how the tide has turned and sometimes do the graceful thing and step the fuck out the way. Do Mpoko. Mpoko could have been kicking and screaming till today. Mpoko could have been kicking and screaming till today. But he gracefully took his package and walked away because Zanu PF consolidated, they got back together, they've reformed, they focused, and they're going to win the next election if we keep messing around. So, if the coalition is going to be an actual deal, guys, we need to get behind a guy and we need to get this guy to get working. And this guy has to get working soon. We need policies. We need manifestos. We need to understand what is your plan for my children. Because if you win in 2018, there's some things that I have to consider. My eldest daughter is turning 16 this year. In 5 years' time, my eldest daughter will be 21 years old. That means you would have had 5 years in power. What policies are you putting in place for my eldest daughter? What are the educational issues in Zimbabwe? Will she have to leave and go overseas like somebody else? Like everybody else? Have you got a plan for the UZ? Have you got a plan for the universities in Zimbabwe? Have you got a plan for transport in Zimbabwe? Have you got a plan for jobs? Have you got a plan for re-energizing the industries? This is what we want the new president of the MDC to be talking about. We no longer want to be talking about succession issues. We're tired of that. And Zanu PF dealt with that in November. MDC has an opportunity today to talk about moving forward. And for the purpose of the party and for the sake of the people of Zimbabwe and the democracy that we so need, needing a strong opposition, I now implore people like Honorable Manzura, people like Ncube, despite Vukuitika, we need you to see the bigger picture and help us move forward here because we no longer have time. And I know this position may be unpopular with some, but it's also now trying to be pragmatic. How do we move forward as a generation? I believe the NC needs to start looking and see what Zanu PF did in November, December, how quickly they got together, how quickly they consolidated, and how quickly they moved forward. Because that's how Zanu PF is planning to win the next election. President Chamisa needs to right now, give us a development plan right now. We want a manifesto right now. He needs to be sitting down with teams and a government in waiting. Who is our Minister of Finance if he wins? Who is our Minister of Health? What is his plan? Who is his cabinet? Who are the people he's including? Is he going to be including people like Pastor Ivan Mawarire, people who have been fighting the good fight and have ideas? Is he going to be including people like Advocate Fadzai Mahere, who have been fighting in Mount Pleasant and have got a manifest, actually got a plan? Though restricted because she can only fight on a very macro level, on a constitutional level. He has a manifesto. No. We do not want that old Trangirai manifesto, please. We need a young plan, a young manifesto. Does he plan to have an underground system in Zimbabwe? Does he plan to have super fast trains from Chitungwiza into Harare train station? We need a plan, a new plan, a working plan for young people, for a new generation. We need a plan that talks about tech highways and getting faster fiber in Zimbabwe for everyone, even people in Chitungwiza and Budiriro, because that's what's happening all over the world. Where people in New Delhi, in the slums of Delhi, can still access fast internet and still build businesses and companies. We need a plan. We don't want old rhetoric, Mugabe must go. We don't want that. What is this plan for feeding Zimbabweans, considering that 50% of Zimbabweans are still relying on American food aid? What is his plan? What is his plan for health? Considering that all the medicine in Zimbabwe right now is here because of aid. What is his plan to fight HIV? What is his plan? I want to know the president's plan so that people like me can read it up. Can we do consultations quickly in the next 3-4 weeks? Sangana little caucus groups, Sangana come up with a fucking plan, and then we all say we're fighting the next election so that we can actually be a government in waiting. That's what I would like us to have. A plan. Not my manifesto that's not diri. My plan is not vision. We need vision. What's his plan for the public schools in our country? The public schools that are dilapidated. Who built these public schools, they had irrigation systems, they had tennis courts, they had swimming pools. But now these swimming pools have got tadpoles and frogs and grow mosquitoes. No, we don't want tadpole-filled swimming pools in public schools. We want our children to be swimmers. We want Olympians again to win swimming. You know, people like Kirsty Coventry actually initially went to government schools and they became Olympic champions. What's his plan for sport and development? What's his plan for 10 Diamond and Junior Brown and Winky D? What's his plan? The man has to have a plan, ladies and gentlemen, because ED is coming with a fucking plan. And we need the other side to also have a plan. And then we need to learn that plan, and then people like me will go on the internet every single day and sell that plan to the electorate so that we can actually get to a position where we can sell it to the young people and then we go and vote. The president of the MDC should right now be telling us what is his plan to solve the ET crisis in Harare Central. What is the plan? I'm ready to take some calls now, ladies and gentlemen. We want a plan. The first person I'm adding, and we all know Tawanda is a very strong Zanu PF supporter. However, he happens to be objective, so I like his position. If you would like to be added, please say add right now, and I'll add you or gladly add you. Tawanda, I'm trying to add you. Tawanda, how you doing, bruv?
Sana, how are you, my friend?
I'm fine. You're my favorite Zanu PF supporter because you've always tuned in.
Before I've even had a chance, you've already crucified me.
I'm not crucifying you. I like everyone to know where you're coming from. So go ahead. What's your contribution?
No, do you know what, Kuda? Like what you're saying, if Chamisa, I hope somebody close to him is watching this, because if he's able to innovate, because the MDC has failed to do that, if he's able to do what you're saying, let's say Mount Pleasant, if he's able to come down on a micro level, engage Fadzai, I don't know who else is in Buluwayo who's doing the same thing, and is able to engage that person, then yeah, it can work. It can definitely work. But if he does this thing, which I think what's going to happen is he's going to stick to his old structures. Right. And he's not going to be inclusive. He's not going to get the past the ease. He's not going to come and approach you. He might do as a piecemeal just to say, no, I approached civic society. But in the greater scheme of things, if he doesn't do that, he's going to lose. And lose he will. You know, if he's not able to engage people like you, people like Fadzai, people like Pastor E, relevant people who have been pushing the opposition cause. Because look, from my perspective, right, I do not listen to any opposition talk except for yours. And why is that? It's because you're intellectual. You say things, you just don't oppose for the sake of opposing. Right. You say tangible, credible. You have tangible, credible points, and the opposition, in my eyes, haven't had such points that you have. You see, so they have to engage people like you.
As a Zanu PF supporter, do you fear Chamisa, for example? Were you happier with the Morgan Trangirai and the helm? Do you see any? I mean, for example, if Chamisa does knuckle down, come up with a working plan, surround himself with a younger, stronger team, and move forward aggressively throughout the regions, are you guys more concerned about him? Because I know 2 weeks ago you were on the program, you were laughing, saying "Apana, apana."
Yeah, no, a couple of weeks ago, I was saying the whole entire opposition, because I didn't think there was a plan. Until I saw Chamisa, highly charismatic, he's got the hooligans on his side, you know, that's why he's able to do all he's doing. So he's got the physical power on the ground. He has the masses the people who matter at the primary level. You know, the people, not people like me and you, the guys who actually turn up to the rallies and go to the rallies. He's got those people as well. So in terms of opposition, for me as a modern person, even though I'm Zanu PF, because I'm Zanu PF based on principles and various other things. Let's not even go that way anyway. But as opposition, it's refreshing to see such opposition. You know, it's refreshing to see that. It's good for competition because it's good for the nation. If we have a good opposition, it will make ED do its job better because he'll have somebody hot on his toes. Do you see what I'm saying? Right. So it's good for the nation if he's got candidates in constituencies that are actually doing things. It's good because our MPs are now forced to do things as well. It's not just a case of, this is an easy win. I'm going to put my feet up and it's going to be an easy win for me. In Warren Park, I'll give you an example. In Warren Park, if you look at the results from 2008 compared to 2013, we had to work. We doubled the figures. We had to work because the MDC was coming strong. So we had no choice. You had to go out there, you had to reach the people, actually give people tangible things, dig up boreholes, engage church people, engage school children, engage loads of people so you can increase the electorate, increase the vote. We had to work because the MDC was on their job in Warren Park. So if Chamisa's on his job, it's going to make ED even say, oh gosh, this young kid, he's possibly got a chance. So whatever I'm doing, I now have to up the ante. With when Changirai was there, it was just like this is an easy win. We're just going to sell through the elections. You know, Changirai really was supposed to let go even before. Unfortunately, before he passed away. You know, may he rest in peace. But he was supposed to let go and give his team enough time to mobilize the ground. But unfortunately, he didn't do that. But Chamisa is the best thing to happen to the opposition. Honestly, is the best thing to happen to it. Now it's the chance for the opposition. I was calling you the other day. Everything you're saying, I agree with. I called you the other day complaining that Zoe wants me to pay $400 to get a fiber connection in Samara Machel. I should be able to get internet. I shouldn't be paying $200 a month for an internet connection. Where in the world is anyone paying that? If he's coming in and he's bringing in tangible policies like you're saying, it's now going to force our party. We can now go to our party and say, hey, look, guys, the MDC is proposing this, and this. We've been telling you we need ICT. We've been telling you we need fiber infrastructure. Look, the opposition's doing it now. They're going to be forced to move. Right. You see, so he's very Chamisa. Everyone in the opposition, in my own personal opinion, has to get behind that guy. If you don't, you're literally just gonna hand it over to us. You're just gonna hand it over, and I don't want to hear anyone complain, Sana.
My brother, you know, it's funny though because I hear the way you talk, the way you swag, and you're one of the Zanu PF deployments, and you're actually right now in Warren Park, working Warren Park. I would like to see I would like to see the opposition doing the same thing. Getting young people, you obviously were overseas for ages, you came back, you're working the ground, and then deployed you to Warren Park and you're working the ground. That's what I'm passionate about. I would like us to stop this internet business and I'd like to start grafting. Yeah. And I think that's what we need the president to do.
I don't have, like me, I have resources. I have no competition in Warren Park. I don't have anyone like me. I don't have anyone like you who I can say, no, this person's on a level. All I'm dealing with is lager louts. And I'm sending people to university in Turkey. I'm finding people jobs. I'm getting people this. There's nobody who's competing with me, who's intellectually on this level. Everyone's on Facebook. Everyone's on the internet. I'm also here, but I'm also on the ground. I can mobilize people on the ground. So the intellectuals, the people like you and me who are on these streams typing all the time, the internet warriors, they need, if they really want change in Zimbabwe, you need to come away from these likes, not even come away, in addition to these likes, in addition to trolling, in addition to all these things, you have resources. I have friends who work in offices. When they're closing their office down, I'll say to them, hey, guys, can you please send me those computers? I'll pay for shipping. We've done that. We now have a computer center. Hey, guys, I need clothes. I need this. My friends from the UK, they'll send them to me. And I'm not doing these things partisan. These are not partisan things that I'm doing. If I get things, I distribute them equally to anyone. If you've got a certain level of education and you want a job, I'm able to help you. If you want to get assistance, a scholarship to go outside of the country. I can help you. How many Zimbabweans who are opposition do we have in America? Across the world, we have more opposition across the world than we have here in Zimbabwe. But what are they doing collectively? Is there a group to say, oh, the young talented Zimbabweans, let's find you a job. Let's find you a university scholarship. There isn't. It's just internet trolling, internet texting, just a load of rubbish on internet and nothing on the ground. Is there a GoFundMe campaign for the opposition to say, look, we want to create this development program, maybe for ICT in Harare or wherever. And how many corporate people do we have? How many corporate people do we have? You know, people right now will be trolling me and saying, no, why is this guy, he seems clever, why is he at Zanu PF, why is this? Because I've seen that's where the actual action happens. If I come in with an idea,
Todd, the thing is, I want to answer Todd real quick. Todd, the reason why I brought Uncle Ray on the feed is because I wanted to show you guys what the other side is doing right now. And obviously you're replicated in every single province, you know. There's people like you who have been deployed everywhere, correct?
Everywhere. Look, AC. Look at AC, bruh. Look at AC Lumumba. AC is your homie. Do you see what I'm saying? Kuda, right now, I'll tell you, away from Harare, I've got programs that I'm doing in the rural areas where I am literally distributing seed. Seed costs $4 or $5. Fertilizer costs $40 a bag. But if you give that to somebody in the rural area, they're just going to go crazy. And I'm the son of an MP. You see, I don't play politics there, but just me as a Zimbabwean wanting to see other young people who don't have opportunities in the rural area, I'm giving them seed. Like, guys, anyone who's got water, because it's rained recently, I've bought about 3 or 4 water pumps, and I've gone and I've given them to them. Organize yourself, guys. Here's the seed, here's the fertilizer. I think I spent about $500 on seed and fertilizer last week, but that's funding more than 50 people. So when those people vote in the rural area for Zanu PF, I pay school fees in my rural area, even though I'm not politically active there. I pay fees for up to 30 kids. Right. It's $25. It's about $25. Between me and my friends that are in the UK, I ask guys, their kids, choose vulnerable kids, not politically based, non-partisan, people whose parents died of HIV, whose parents died of AIDS, stuff like that. I pay for their fees through my friends and business associates that I have. So when people see me doing that and they see that I'm the son of the sitting MP, they're definitely going to vote because nobody else is doing that. Do you see what I'm saying? So now you guys, all these guys who are trolling on the internet, talking rubbish on the net, they really just need to dig into their pockets. Everyone has a village where they come from. Why in my village? In my village, there's MDC as well. My family members, some of them are MDC. They're in diaspora. Some of them are making more money than me. Why are they not doing what I'm doing? Right. Why are the people on your feed not doing what I'm doing? Why are they not going out there? Like, I saw Linda last time. She came out, she went to Epworth, and people just started trolling. Right. People just troll. Do you see what I'm saying? Instead of saying, no, look at this young lady, what she's doing. She's helping. People just start trolling. No. This. It doesn't make sense, Kuda. You have to do things on the ground. We have to move away. As a generation, we have to move away from being keyboard warriors to actually doing tangible things on the ground. You have to get involved. My brother. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to let other people come on, but listen, you and I have to have the conversation still about one of these days, let's have a tea time extreme. Let's talk about the procurement processes, the tender process, because you are very passionate that day to explain to me that anybody can apply for these tenders and so forth. And I think a lot of I couldn't get you on. So I need to do that live with you still and try and explain to people why. I'll give you a quick example. When the ZTA announced that they were doing these indabas, these interfaces to let people come and talk about local tourism. They put the advertisements in the paper, on their Facebook page, and so forth. I went there with Chef Bay and recovered that the whole auditorium was full of Just Press and Zanu PF youths. Despite the fact that it was an open invitation, free lunch, free drinks, nobody showed up to participate in this local tourism in Daba. And I felt real sad that when things start to go wrong, we don't participate. That day they were telling us how they need websites, how they need virtual tours, how they need local influencers. All these things were discussed that day.
and nobody showed up. And I think this is the reason why people don't say, no, all the farms are going to Zanu, all the tenders are going to Zanu. It's because the Zanu kids are paying attention, they're listening, and they're going to these events.
Exactly. The information is there.
The information is there, and we're just complaining. So you would actually love to know that I've now gone to Ministry of Lands. I've also put my name down because I also would like to get some land apportioned to me. You know,
there's things that I'm doing. And Chamisa has a farm. Morgan Shanghai has a farm. Wake up, guys. It is your country. The ministry, every single ministry has an open door policy. If you go to the ministry right now and you say you want to meet a minister, they will give you a compliment slip. And no, it's not Zanu kids are giving information, I'm Merindoro. It's because I'm enlightened. I lived in the first world. So I know there's a local government. I know there's a minister. I write letters to ministers about issues that affect me. And they have to reply. They have to. If you write a letter to a minister and you write a follow-up letter, they have to reply.
Yeah,
but you're not doing it.
Todd just said, but your dad isn't an MP, Kuda, you won't get jack. Todd, I have actually now met people who are not MPs, like members of my dad's church, for example, who have got nothing to do with politics, who put their names down for farms, who put their name down for assistance with businesses, and they've got it. They're not political. It's just that if you don't participate, you just don't get. It's better for me to put down my name and then not get, rather than me not get because I didn't put down my name. I saw the same thing.
No, I didn't get it. Where's the evidence? Where have you gone? Has anyone who's come up? There's a young guy who went to Russia recently. That guy, I've never seen that guy in any political party anywhere. The guy who had the energy deal in Russia. Most of these guys probably don't even know him. The guy who had the energy deal in Russia, where he's got a business model where they're actually a financial management company, but they're giving out energy. Who is that guy? I didn't know that guy. He's not Zanu PF. He's not MDC. He's just a young Zimbabwean guy who had the idea, and he just went to Zera's offices. If you go right now, Kuda, to the office of Zera, and you say, I want to become an independent power producer, they're just going to give you a form. Fill this form out. Once you fill this form out, come back to us. You fill out the form, you get it. And the thing is, people get mistaken by politicking. You really need to understand, most of these opposition people have farms. We went through a referendum, right? And everyone voted yes. Zanu PF and MDC. Meaning we are all in agreement in all the things that are written in the Constitution. So when people are saying, oh, land grab, oh, farm this, oh, I can't get this, you really need to dig a bit deeper and stop closing your eyes and stop listening to silly propaganda online. Go into the ground and see what happens.
Okay, Ray, thank you very much. You said you're going to assist me today in helping me to show the Zanu PF side of things and how the opposition can adapt. I hope you can stay online, my brother. I might want to bring you back. I just want to bring Todd on the line because he says he's written letters. Thank you very much. So, guys, like I said today, I'm gonna speak to some of my Zanu PF counterparts, people I speak to a lot of who have been members of the Tea Party for ages, and they always call me up and tell me things, and I thought it was important to share some of this stuff. So let me speak to Todd real quick, because Todd is saying that he has written letters to government and not been responded to. I want to now debunk that and tell you that every time now I've tried to engage, whether it's Minister of ICT, whether it's even Net One. Even with Net One last week, I asked to speak the Net One guy, and believe it or not, I was sitting in his office with the Net One CEO because I asked to see him anyway. He saw me and we talked about internet, my credit disappearing and so forth. And that's the thing. I've never done that before. I just complained. Todd, you said you've written letters. What letters have you written that have not been responded to? So that even on the ground, I'll go follow them up for you.
I've written to the Ministry of Lands, the Ministry of Mines. I've written to the Ministry of Agriculture. I've written to Minister of Local Government because of the issues that we're having in Kadoma. You know, and you know how actively I am involved, especially with the Jaros Jiri people in Kadoma. And
Yep.
There's so many services that they should be getting from the government, and even the mayor and the people that work for the local government are not delivering. And I've approached all those bodies that I've mentioned, and I've not had a single response. Could have been doing this since last year, October. And I've not had a single.
Okay, so let's work this as our working. Let's make this our working example now, my brother. I need you to scan me some of those letters and then let me follow them up from here now, because I've had a different experience. Whenever I've now approached the ministries, I've discovered that talking to the PermSec, for example, meeting up with PermSecs and stuff is actually getting to a space where there's not one who's closed the door and said, we're not allowed to meet. I mean, some of the appointments have been difficult to get after a while, but what's happened is that, especially in the last 3-4 months, I am able to meet with people and complain directly to people who affect my issues. I mean, right now, next week, I'm going to see the Minister of Education because I need to talk about education. I think there's a lot of room for alternative types of learning now, and I believe that drumming the old methods of, the blackboard learning for my children, I don't think is no longer efficient. And I am very passionate about Hallingbury School, which is behind my house, and I would like to see what I can do as a citizen in our local community to help bring that to the 21st century. E-boards, some computers, people donated some computers and so forth. So there's a lot of things that we want to do. I want you, please, if you can, so let's follow these things up.
Yeah. I mean, you talked about computers and education material. I collect a lot of stuff from Stevenage, which is a twin town to Kadoma. I did it. About a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, we got about 30 computer screens. You understand? That was supposed to be donated to the school that I went to. I went to Jamison High School in Kadoma. Do you know how many of them actually arrived at Jamison? Not a single one. And then I was actually surprised to see a disgrace, Dr. Cables giving those computers away to her projects. You understand? It didn't cost her a single penny. You understand? So this is why I'm thinking this guy who came on before me, talking about all the things that you can do. You see, the trump card that he has is his father is an MP. And that MP will not have taken away from him because he's in the public eye, he's in government. But what about people like me who are not in government, who don't have access to that kind of privilege, access to that kind of protection? How do we then make a difference? How do we make an impact when all we have are people who actually take from us and no one who stands for us? I mean, we have an issue where we even take governments to court. But the cases that we take to government are not dealt with simply because I'm either not Zanu PF, or I'm not a member of parliament, or I'm not the right kind of person to be taking those issues to court. So when that guy says, Kuti, you can do this, you can do this, you can do that, for those in the right place, with the right kind of protection, aligned to the right people, yes, you can. But for people like me, who are just ordinary people, who have no connection, and they've come from a small town like Kadoma, we don't even know how Harare functions. How do we then benefit from what he's talking about? Because we all want to do the same thing that he is doing. We want to do it. So my question is, where is the key? Like Kuda, you've got the courage, you've got the guts to go and talk to these people, but not everyone's like you. So what help can these people get? What access can these people get? Because we can't all come to you and say, Kuda, I've written these letters, because there's 100 of us who will send you what we've done. Are you going to be able to cope with that? Are you going to be able to handle all of it? My point is, we need access to these things that this guy is talking about. Because if he's talking about,
what I'm trying to say, what I'm saying to my brother is this: I was thinking of coming up with some solutions, Warner, because we complain a lot. I'll say, how do we even use you as a working example? Say that, okay, I've written to the Ministry of Lands, I've written to the Mines, right? How do I follow up on some of those? I mean, if they're trying to post back to you in the UK, maybe that's the issue. Do we need a local person on the ground who can follow up these things? I mean, so that at least we can say, okay, citizens, if you want to talk to the Minister of Lands, this is your channel. If you want to talk to the Minister of Education, these are the channels. I mean, would we even have a database? I know all these guys now have websites. They have got working phone numbers. I mean, are we engaging fully? I know some of them are now on WhatsApp. So what we now need to do is say this. What we need to come up with, to all you citizens who are watching, what are the evidence base? How do we operate as an opposition? How do we access some of these things? So we can also now not just complain, but be a part of some of these. Why did people not come to the Indabas ZTA? When Karikoga invited everybody on Facebook, on WhatsApp, they invited everybody to come. Chief Coty and them are doing live streams from Vic Falls, from Mutare, and every time you can see, if you go on the ZTA website right now, on their Facebook page, they streamed all 5 Indabas, and there was no youth in there. No youth, can you imagine? In Bulawayo, there was no Bimbaim Shaburi, there was none of the young MP aspirants, no one came to talk about local tourism in their areas. No one came. What does that mean, Todd?
Maybe we've lost faith in the system. Maybe we've lost faith in the system. And,
okay, fair enough. So what can our opposition now do? I mean, I guess we're talking about what can opposition now do to learn from Zanu PF? Like what I was just saying, I was talking to Uncle Ray there as an example of how they've deployed a lot of young people, including some of my friends, to go and operate in very difficult areas sometimes, away from their comfort zones, so they can start implementing policies for government across the board. And that's how they're stealing votes. Do we have a similar policy as oppositions to be doing the same things, is my question.
Yeah. I mean, I'll ask you a question, Kuda, right? I'm BZA, and we went to Zimba to try and campaign, right? You know the violence we faced. You know the challenges we faced. We booked a venue with police clearance weeks before the event was due. We turned up on the day, and then we're told Ziambi has booked all the venues, and it is Member of Parliament there. Right? So he has something, or he has some sort of support or access to some level of power that we as the citizens don't have. You understand? And that's my point, Kuti. How can we then challenge that? Because we're going to court about it, but we've already lost a campaign. We've already lost a weekend of campaigning. We've lost a weekend of engaging with the citizens. How do we recover that? And how can we engage the citizens to actually support us in making sure we access, the crowds or the citizens or the population? How do we work on that? And I think if we can come up with a solution of what we can do as a citizenry, I think it will be a good thing. Like you talk about these MPs being on WhatsApp, having focus groups or having access or whatever, emails, and we need to have those published. They mustn't just be handed to the chosen few. You understand? Because right now, that's how it works. If I don't know you, Kuda, I would not know about this information. How about the people who are not even on Facebook? How do we get the information to them? And that's what we need to be working on.
My brother, thank you very much for your input as usual. Let me get some more people online right now. Okay, my brother Batsi is saying add. Let me add Batsi over here. Is it my brother or my sister? I'm not sure yet. Let's see by the face.
Oh, hi.
Hey, my sister, what's up?
Okay, I've got a contribution to make, especially based on what the opposition should do to assist us. I think the main problem with the opposition is they are not known where it matters where the numbers are, which is the rural areas. I was listening to the guy who was talking just now. He was talking about going to Zimba and trying to book a venue so they could have a rally. But you want to go there for the very first time to have a rally. The people who will be presenting are not even known in the area. They've never seen you come there with even a loaf of bread so that they can associate with you and then say, oh, it's Ningi is coming to do a rally, so let's go. That's why in the end, you go and have your rally in the rural areas, nobody's going to attend because nobody knows you. That's the problem that we have with our opposition. It's good to have a healthy opposition. I'm Zanu PF through and through from the heart, and I'm happy because my grandmother is happy. My cousins who live in the rural areas are happy. They've been supported by Zanu PF, but we don't have any connections to the political big wigs, whatnot. No, we don't have any benefits that we get from those guys. When Zimbabweans were suffering, when we are suffering, we're all suffering, we all have the same complaints about we don't want this government, we don't want this minister, there's looting, there's corruption, we have the same problems. But when it comes to policies and when it comes to the time for voting, like this time has come now, there are things that I think about. I think about the land. I think if opposition comes in, is my grandmother going to keep her farm? Are we going to keep our legacy? Are we going to benefit from command agriculture? How independent am I going to be in my motherland? Those are the things I start thinking of. Despite that, Zanu had it horror time and, we suffered a lot. But when it comes to voting, it's the principles that we then have to think of. Those kick in. Do these people care about our livelihood? And do we know these people? That's my contribution for the opposition. If you're going to...
So let's say, for example...
Sorry?
If President Chamisa right now came up with a good policy framework and a manifesto, could he win you over?
I think he has to know the people who matter first. For me, I like him because he's a new guy, he's fresh, he probably has fresh ideas, he's somebody I can buy into, and the way he thinks is the way I think. We're literally the same age. What he wants for his children is what I want for my children. So yes, he can win me over. But for the rest of my family and my legacies, can he win me over? I need him to start with the grassroots. Can my grandmother relate? And all my people in the village, because maybe I'm only 10% of my family that's staying in the town, in the cities, and that's where they're talking, that's where they're making their noise. But the rest of the 90%, if they lose, I also lose, because then I don't have anywhere to go back to. So if he doesn't work on those people, it's going to be hard for me to vote for him. It starts kicking in. What else is he offering besides me as a person? Yes, I love the dream big and this promise and we're going to bring change. But what about my people, the 90% who are in the rural areas? What are they going to benefit from him? Do they know him? For me, it's about knowing and trusting. And that's the problem with MDC. That's the problem with Chamisa. Yes, he's young, but who knows him? Who trusts him? It's us in the cities, and we don't make the electoral numbers, unfortunately.
Right. Fantastic. Yeah, thank you very much, my sister. That's a great contribution. Thank you so much. So it's cool. We've spoken to a couple of guys who say they're strong Zanu PF supporters. They've all sort of said they would like a strong opposition. I said, what lessons can be learned from Zanu PF by the MDC? Let me add my rib, because she always has some cool things to say. The smartest woman I know. What up, baby girl?
What up?
Talk to me. What do you think?
First things first, they need to fix their politics. I feel like all of us are running to... It's okay for us to be development over democracy, but then they will not move on as a formidable opposition without fixing their politics, right? You are not going to move on with very little people like Ncube still using words like dissidents to incite people. There's a certain demographic of people, I hate to say, Matebele and very Ndebele people who, when you say those words, are incited absolutely, right? So you can't ignore Ncube whether you like it or not. She has to be addressed.
Can I interject a little bit? You also were once vice president of a political party. Yeah. You were the vice president of Viva in the days when Viva started. And you were obviously from Matebele land, and you're a woman. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about how Ncube has been treated as an ex-vice president also of a political party, and seeing that sometimes the dominance of the... Because you were under AC Lumumba at the time, and obviously you couldn't shake the stigma of an AC Lumumba, his behavior or anything. Do you sympathize with Ncube, or do you feel that she's out of order?
Okay, maybe can I qualify my answer before I say it? But I don't sympathize with Ncube. So Ncube is the fourth generation of a rebranded MDC when she becomes vice president, right? Ncube never won the vice presidency on merit by herself. It was after Joyce Mjuru from Zanu PF was named vice president. She's a woman. This is the time in 2000 when they were now speaking about women empowerment, where all the men who formed MDC have left, have broke away because of their egos. And then it's very necessary for them to capture a certain demographic of people. And guess who then rises up as an Makukoba MP, which is Awambare in Bulawayo, right? It's a hub of very influential people who can make things pop off, right? So she wins that electoral seat, and Save then says, you know what? Actually, this person can be vice president. They go to Congress, and everyone is told, of which every other Congress is like that. Everyone's told to Save what? It's all you are there to endorse Toro Devamovan. Right? If Tsvangirai had picked anyone else, Ncube wouldn't be subject matter today, regardless of the fact that she's vice president and she's a woman and she's Ndebele. That wouldn't have been the issue, right? Using my example of Viva Zimbabwe, why I left Viva Zimbabwe was because I could not shake off the legacy of Viva Zimbabwe was tied to AC Lumumba. Without AC Lumumba, Viva Zimbabwe does not exist. By virtue of AC Lumumba going back to Zanu PF, we have seen Viva Zimbabwe crumble. I already, maybe I can say I was fortunate to have seen that coming, right? It's now a choice that Ncube has to make. She was given... She wants to be a very influential woman in a space of politics. She must play an equal size of politics without the first steps of, oh, I'm a woman, oh, whose people are threatening me. She's the only person who's seated on the board there who is not an original. Do you know why Chamisa is a favorite? He's an MDC original. When it started, he's the one of the people who has always been there. She has to be cognitive of those things. So people who are usually given position.
Are you saying that you could not have? Are you saying that you could not have, as a Matebeleland young woman, you don't believe you could have been president of Viva when AC Lumumba left? Are you not capable? Are you saying that?
Am I capable of leading? Here's the thing. It would have required a lot of rebranding, right? AC really fucked up stuff by saying fuck you, Robert Mugabe, because he forgot how conservative the Zimbabweans are. In our small circle of being bougie and bad, we could say all those things and Ajunabasa, but then he forgot that the electorate values certain things and you can't just pop off and say things like that. It would have required me to fight him directly. Did I have the energy? Did I think that was gonna pop off after doing that? No. Right? So it's the same thing. The same energy. Does she have the same energy to make things pop off? The only thing that she has holding to dear heart is to keep on triggering the Guguraundi issue, because it's a very sensitive issue of which it has absolutely nothing to do with the MDC, but everything to do with the fact that Zapu and Zanu had a political game where one lost and people were collateral damage. Right? And no one has ever addressed that. But she uses that so much a lot of times because her constituents are part of the people who are mostly affected, which is not right. Right? Anyway, what I was saying was, in the bid of learning, if you are given your second best, right, the best way to play the politics is to always remain second best. Right? Her position of influence is at second best and shining like a trophy, because that's what she is. If she wants to play the dirty politics, then she must get herself out like Joyce Mjuru. Well, she was kicked out, but at least under 2% zake so we can see that she's definitely influential. Because if she doesn't have that, then she needs to align, and they need to copy the fact that even when it's a coup or not a coup, unfortunately, they didn't forcefully remove Tsvangirai, right? When all is said and done, what needs to be done for an election that is 2 months to go, right? We are happy to hear we want productive things. And honestly speaking, MDC is not going to come up with productive things in 2 months. We need to actually volunteer ourselves to make that manifesto for MDC. We need to volunteer campaigning for MDC. If it means it's just to move out, go to South before the time that we agreed to go to go and campaign for MDC and campaign for another person. It's time that we do so. Because internet, but then there is no way that MDC is going to win if we don't pace up. And pacing up means that we all need to give up something, inclusive of us seated in our nice yards and, having a good time on the internet.
All right, my darling.
I don't qualify Thokozani Ncube as someone that can be ignored, but she's not someone that you should go on without.
So are you saying that do you think we should now just run with Nosi Chamisa and get moving?
I think that even Mduri, if MDC is so true to itself that personalities are not bigger than their party, surely it's not an issue about who's at the front. It's about whether their systems function perfectly well for them to win an election, which is what Zanu PF has. The brand of the personalities is for us who watch their TVs. But truth of the matter is, Munwari Chairman Kunembudzia Weku Zanu PF is the most powerful person before the MP of that place, right? So you need to be very sure that your party can handle those things before you bring personalities in, because they must bring even somebody who's new, who we don't know, but has been part of the party structures, and propel them if their system is that strong, which is what we don't believe. And with a failed or with a very weak system, which means that even going for an election, Nelson Chamisa in the modern cities where the youths are, and then he loses the greater part of the rural areas, which has most of the constituencies using the demarcations that we have. And his loss is a loss to us all, because he's neither going to be a president, he's neither going to be an MP, and it's going to be fuckery in parliament for the next 5 years.
All right, my darling, thank you very much for your contribution. Come join me. Let me speak some other people. Mwah.
All right.
Now you know why I love this woman. She's a total G. She keeps me sharp. She keeps me thinking. I love that woman. Let me get Luxon's Rob. Well, let me add you in order, guys. Let me add you in order. Luxon, I'm trying to add you. Luxon has declined, even though you're the one who declared. Zim Culture has said they want to be added. Zim Culture, your phone is not allowing you to add. Lloyd Gosho says he wants to be added. Adding you now. Lloyd Gosho has got a picture of Save on his thingy, so hopefully he's an MDC supporter and we can talk to him about what he thinks. I'm trying to add you. Okay, Lloyd is not answering, sadly, so I'm going to add Bree. Bree McDonald. Oh, Bree, unfortunately, your phone is refused. Make sure it's facing portrait and not landscape, please. Because sometimes that's the reason. Same thing with you, Kuda from Zim Culture. Please try and make sure your phone is facing the right direction, landscape and not portrait. The portrait, not landscape, so that we can talk. I think that's sometimes the reason. You can stop watching me now. You can come join.
Stop doing that.
As the chef, babe, we need you, Zanu PF. No, thank you. Lucky, yeah, Lucky, how are you doing?
Hi, Kuda.
Hey, what's up, man? Talk to me.
I'm okay. You okay?
What are you thinking?
Yeah, I've been following your videos and you are doing great. But concerning this issue, which is happening in MDC now, I think the way forward is just to get Chamisa on board, because right now, TM Narkuzikamwa and is appealing to the electorate. So trying to bring in Wanagadasana Kupe and Mozori. Of course, they are important on this struggle, but they are not appealing to the electorate. So in everything we do, we need to make sure we have an election to win.
Right.
Even those who are pushing for an extraordinary Congress, the Constitution is very clear. You need at least maybe 2 months to facilitate that extraordinary Congress, and the elections are coming maybe in 4 months' time. How are you going to handle all this?
What policies do you like about Chamisa's right now? I mean, are you happy that you got the right policies, or are you just an against?
No, I for Chamisa, we are still yet to hear his side, I mean, policy-wise. But for now, for us just to get the ticket for us to win the election, what we need now is Chamisa. But
so do you guys know that to win the election is not just Chamisa that you need. You actually need policies. You actually need a plan. You need a system.
We need policies, yes. But you can't sell policies kana usina munari able to sell policy. A police can, right. You can have a very good police, but if you don't have someone to sell that police, your policy is nothing.
All right. So do you see him coming up with a decent policy, or are you not optimistic? What are you thinking?
Yes, Chamisa is capable of coming up with good policies. It's just a matter of giving him time.
Time is
we don't have time. That's what I'm saying. It's still time, boys. If you're part of the structures, my brother, I hope that you're pushing that we now get on with the job. We don't want any more nice speeches. We now want policies, and we are committing ourselves that if we have the right framework and the right policies involved, we're happy to run behind this gentleman and help campaign wherever we need to go, because I think the job is now. You understand? So
yes,
thank you very much, Mr.
Not only policies, but clear policies.
Very clear policies. We want the
very clear policies.
Thank you very much. Who can I add here? I'm trying to add Bree again. Bree, something wrong with your phone, dear. Zimbabwe Culture. Say what? There you go, Zimbabwe Culture. Let's add him.
Her.
Yeah, him, her. It's Kuda, I think. So it's a Kuda. I think it's a boy generally, isn't it? There's some Kuda girls, I guess.
Are they?
Apparently.
Oh Lord.
Sha Malcolm akanda ke majokes ekubereka vanhu musana sha usadaro Malcolm ndokubloga sha
sadaro Malcolm mama
apedza basa rekuvhikfozu
Malcolm anoswera
Zimcouch. I'm trying to add you. Okay, does anyone else want me to add them? I'm trying to add Zimcouch. He's not accepting my invitation. Let me try and add oh shame, I can't add Gladys for some reason. I'm going to try to add Bree one more time. There we go. Bree, I think your phone is now correct. Ben Bright. I think, if I'm correct, Ben is actually a Zanu PF reporter. Let's talk to Ben after. Okay, so Bree, how are you doing, Mama?
Finally. Now, for starters, I just have to say, following Chef Bay is just like very, very, very hard to do. But you know what, Chef Bay, love your work. You speak to my mind. And I want to say the first thing, I'm so mad at both of you, and I'll tell you for what. You guys are the technocrats. You guys are on the ground. You guys are speaking to people like me who really understand what you're saying. So you need to throw your hats into the ring because you've got the ideas. All these other guys that you're talking about, Vanacha Misa, yes, fair play, you know. I like him. But what we've seen play out in the last couple of months has also been quite alarming to me because you know what? We kind of had this idea 20 years ago that this was, you know, the hope, the democracy that we wanted. But it's actually very dirty politics, all round with all the parties. So now I think we just need an overhaul of the entire thing. Obviously, you know, elections are on the corner, so nothing major can be done. But definitely we need to be looking forward to the 2023. We need to now seriously be looking to that because the mess that I've seen play out within all the parties is just so demoralizing, it's disheartening, and you just think to yourself, okay, fine, MDC, say they take it. They've got so many issues within themselves and they've had 20 years to try and be the party that the Zimbabweans want. And we've seen, even they are just more recycled nonsense. So, you know, I'm saying, please stop being a technocrat now, both of you, and throw your hats in the ring. And
I'll tell you what, right? I mean, right now, a lot of independent candidates who you guys are seeing who are actually throwing their hats in the ring, whether for council or for MPs. We're working very hard for those people. And the thing is, what's happening is that there's not enough people willing to work hard in the background because everyone wants to be in the forefront. And I think sometimes, like, as ambitious and as politically astute as we may seem, sometimes my strength are my mischievous ability to maneuver in the background. You know, my talents are far more clandestine. I'm much easier. I'm a better rabble rouser. I'm not. For example, it wouldn't take long for someone to pull up every video where I've said fuck and stick it together for an hour. And it says fuck cunt. You know, it'd be very difficult to vote for a person like me right now. So what I'm saying is that I promise you that we are playing a part. We're trying our very best to be a motivation to some of the younger independent candidates. We're both very extremely involved in the Be the Change campaign in Mount Pleasant, where we live, and we're trying to help other young candidates. However, you know,
2023, I'm going to be in Kutu South.
2023, absolutely, will be moved to Kutu South by then. I'm hoping that Muroro will be running. So we got a long time. We got time. Like I said, we need to learn. We need to study. We need to get law degrees, political science degrees, and get better. And I hope everyone watching is doing the same. We need to just get more knowledgeable. Let's get more knowledgeable. Let's get them law degrees, political science degrees, so that we can actually be good leaders with a plan.
And take the rural seats, you know, like you've often said, Kuti, you know, in and I'm from Wedza, and I mean, that's where I need to be. That's where my forefathers were. I'm a child of Wedza, so I need to go to places like that and campaign in those places if wants to run for office. But yeah, definitely it needs all of us to just get a re-education into all of this. Because sometimes could I watch you and I'm so frustrated for you because you're really, you know, you're reaching out, you're doing your very best. But then, like you say, nobody shows up to the rallies. Nobody... Well, people like us don't show up to the rallies, you know what I mean? And it's so sad because it's like we can talk about all these things, and the reality is unless you're actually on the ground and actually putting the work in and getting the support, nothing's going to change. Everybody just talks behind the internet and stuff like that. But no, honestly, kudos to you guys, and thank you so much. I really, really, really absolutely adore Chef Bay. Like, I mean, she's a maverick. You are amazing.
Well, you know, Bree, you've known me since I was very, very young. You've known me since I was like 14 and handsome. She could have done better.
No, and you're doing so well, Kuda. I mean, you know, like I'm always defending you here in the UK. You know, like when people are like, oh, but he's like, and I'm like, listen, it's a persona. I know this guy, and you know what? At the end of the day, I told you the other day that mom, I was with my mom. She was here visiting, and we had one of your extreme editions on where all the F bombs were being thrown. And I said, Mama, listen to his wisdom. And she says to me, do you know what, Brie? You can really, and she was like, she wasn't even affected by any of the, she's from, the old school of thinking, but she absolutely loves you. And you know what, at the end of the day, everything you're saying, everything you said today, everything you said in the past, it is so real. And I'm part of Build Zimbabwe Alliance, and I would now safely say, look, with the mess that's going on with the major parties, everyone just needs to come to Build Zimbabwe now. It's like what's his name? What Suge is it? Suge Knight said about Bad Boy. Would see, look, if your CEOs and all your videos come to us. Because I'm just thinking, at least with Noah, there's a principled approach. Yes, we may not be perfect. We're a very young party, but right now, the mess that we're seeing with everybody else is just, it's so disheartening. It's so disheartening, because you're thinking, can Chamisa really control the masses now? Because he looks quite timid, hey? I mean, he can be charismatic giving a speech.
Bree, thank you very much for your last campaign moment there for your Build Zimbabwe team. I think they'll appreciate it.
I got to
today we're talking MDC. You had to do it. Thank you very much, Bree. What else can we add here? Okay, there's my brother Adamski Jama wanted to be added, I think, and then we'll wrap up. Anyone else who's dying to be added, please let me know if I can add you before we wrap up. Wrap up. I'm trying to add you, Zim Culture, one last time. If I fail, then we can wrap up, huh?
Also, Nelson Chamisa's lesson is to build the big tent that people want. I don't see Noah Manyika refusing, if you give him strategic positions of government influence by BZA, for him to be in the big tent. Yeah. They have some very nice policies for certain things. If he refuses solely because he wants to be president, then BZA must also go to the graveyard and sleep. They've got certain areas where I think they are good at, but then they don't have the strongest of structures. They can split these. I guess it's the time when you have to start thinking about a representative parliament where every party is represented because of them having a certain constituent of people.
Adamski Jaman, what up, my brother?
Hey, what's up, Kuda? How you doing, man?
Fantastic. I would love to hear your wisdom on this one. Your posts give me life.
Which ones?
I see you're wearing a Viva cap, eh? That's pretty unique. You're wearing a Viva Zimbabwe cap, eh?
For Noma. Yeah, so I wasn't really ready for this. I just saw you kind of accept me and everything. But as you know, Kuda, last time when I was there sitting in the same place where you guys are sitting not so long ago, last year, July, I was a pro-Zanu PF supporter, which I had been for since 2009. I was a card-carrying member, what have you. However, the 15th of November, a bloody coup took place. I started to think differently. I don't like illegitimate governments, ones that have imposed themselves on us. And I don't like pensioners anymore who are trying to run the country. I'm tired of it. Yep. So therefore, I'm sort of got to look in other places now. And a lot of people are confused what they're thinking, because there's a lot of people who thought the coup was good and have gone on to support Zanu PF, and who were something like me, so people are changing thoughts. They don't know where to go. They're thinking this, they're thinking that. But then again, you need somebody. We need somebody young, and we need a change. Okay, and that's the bottom line at the end of the day. We need a change in order for us to move forward as a nation and as a people. It's very important that we have a change. And Chamisa is now in charge of the MDC, and he's young, which doesn't don't get me wrong. Just because someone's young, we must vote for them. It's not about that. But it's great to have someone young at the helm of it all for a change, and we go back to what you were saying earlier on. You're talking about policies and what have you, and all the policies that you spoke of. He needs to really sit down and think about something like that. And in order to win people over, he needs to have the good policies. And as you spoke of earlier on, it's as simple as that. And for me,
so right now, you, my brother, you are a Chamisa supporter. You are saying, Chamisa, let's run with this guy. Let's push him forward. Let's see what we can do with this guy if we can get him to do some policy documents.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not only saying that. I'm also thinking of the other opposition party people. You've got Manika, you've got who I've ridiculed in the past. Forgive me, but there's a number of people. You got Nathan Banana. I remember when we met him in South Africa, when we were there at this Viva thing. Nathan was sound guy, man, and I think he's got a good vision. So what we need to do is come together and remove the junta. Simple as. The junta must be removed, regardless of what they are doing, going to Davos, getting 3.1 billion investment. Nonsense. They have been lying for years. They are liars. It's in their DNA to lie and talk nonsense. That's what they do. They do not fix anything. They will never fix anything. They are mbavas. All of them, they are thieves. They are just mbava. Finished. We are tired of mbavas. We are tired of them. You can't continue to just have Mbava replacing Mbava all the time. You can't. That's a fact. We all know this. Deep down inside our hearts, we know that these people who are running the country are Mbavas. We all know that. It is very, very true that sorry, I've got baby today. It's very true. And yeah, at the end of the day, just remove Mbava, whatever it takes. If we all have to come together and help push Chamisa forward, then let's do it. 2023, whatever, we go our separate ways. We can vote for whichever party we want. But right now, we need to focus on removing junta and getting true democracy in the country. Therefore, if we are able to do that together now, that means come 23, Kuda, you can go vote for who you want. Me, I can go vote for who I want. But as long as we've removed the thieving, lying, murderous, junta, nonsense people, mbavas, guritotos, what have you, out, finished, gone. Don't want them.
Thank you so much. My love to my nieces, to my nephews over there, and hopefully see you soon.
1 second.
Want to see you.
Let me show you little
show
man.
My nephew there. Hey, what up, little man? How you doing, boy? Little German. Hey, I love these boys, man. Mwah. Love you, boy. Bye-bye.
Nice one, Kuda. Take care, man.
Thank you so much, brother. God bless you, my brother. That's my brother Adamski German. Listen, guys, we've talked to a bunch of people. I know, Brent, I've been trying to add you, but your phone does not does not allow me to add. I think you're on a computer or something, or your phone does not accept. So, listen, guys, thank you very much for joining. I think those who just joined us watching earlier on, we had a bunch of ZANU PF guys coming through, giving some advice. ZANU PF youngsters also would like to see an opposition that is effective. It benefits them, it benefits us. Because as young people, we all have the same issues. And so today's episode was, how can MDC learn from what ZANU PF did after they're not cool? How quickly they got together, how quickly they mobilized, how quickly they started doing this ED voting, how quickly they tried to rebrand and change. And I think this is what we need to start seeing from the Chamisa brand right now. He needs to get the people together. We need to see Ncube towing the line of the party for the greater good. We need right now to remove junta and mbavas. And like I said, if we're going to be supporting Chamisa, let's support him. Let's get a coalition of willing people, smart people. I've met up with a lot of them. Kosana Moyo, I've met up with Noah Manika. I've met up with a bunch of very good people with good plans. And I think there is no reason why some of those people are not being called in to sit down and talk and see what other things we can do to move this country forward for ourselves and for our children to come. Correct?
Yep.
Yep. How are you feeling today, though?
I'm feeling great. I just wanted to say that also let's not be saying Nelson Chamisa is young by age, but Nelson Chamisa has been in the 20 years of MDC and the way it's been run. So he's as old as Changirai may be in terms of his brain. We need to also assess his open-mindedness in terms of what we are talking about, because you always tell you could master structures as right? And he needs to have a mind that needs to lead his structures and still accept advice from his structures.
Right.
So if he can't do that, he's gonna have a problem. So he's as old as Changirai is, because he sat down at the same time when MDC was created. We can't then assume by virtue of being 40 years old he's young. He might be very old blood.
Zanu Madi.
Yes, Kuda.
How are you?
Yeah,
I'm very well, brother. How are you?
My opinion is, at the moment, I will go with the MDC in terms of the numbers. That's practical. But I think we could actually have a better coalition with MDC and other leaders right now, because I believe MDC was being held at ransom by Changirai. No disrespect, he was a hero in his own way. But at the end, for me, I felt he failed as Zimbabweans, where we were supposed to be doing progressive things, where you were supposed to appeal to people like Noma and other people, and he couldn't do that because people were fed up of him. He was equally the same as Mugabe. So by the end of the day, people could not come and work with somebody who was equally the same as a dictator like Mugabe, because he was staying on the position like everybody else. So I believe right now, if Chamisa is very wise, he should go and get other guys to on board, and we started planning towards the change for one Zimbabwe and remove junta. Because at this given moment, Noma is a good man. I believe if Chamisa reaches out to him and say, let's come and work towards the change and the movement of Zimbabwe towards a better Zimbabwe, everybody is willing to do that. The only thing which
can I explain why it's going to be difficult? The reason why people like Kosana and Noah are going to find it difficult, right, is that they've never ever tested themselves against the public. They've never ever got themselves a mandate from the public, and I think this is the same thing we're suffering with someone like Fadai Maere when she attempted to contact the coalition. I think until she's been tested by, until she's been battle tested by an electorate, it's very hard to take some of these other people independent seriously. You understand? So it's almost as if that in 2018 they're going to have to battle their constituencies on a totally independent level. What people mandate, electorate, then they are able to join alliances and coalitions as people who have been mandated to do so. Because right now, Kosana Moyo, bar from being a nice guy who worked at the World Bank, and Noah Manyika bar from being a really good man with smart ideas, he has never tested himself against the Zimbabwean electorate. So this is the problem. This is the problem that I'm seeing, that if someone like Chamisa sees Noah Manyika and sees and Kosana Moyo, why not then all the other 80-something presidential candidates who feel they have the right to lead Zimbabwe? We have that woman,
Masi something.
Masi something. We've got a bunch of people who say, I want to be president, I want to be president. Does this mean that Chamisa now has the right, should now engage everybody who just be there by the right to say, I want to be a president? You know, should he consider someone like Vimbaim Shaburi, who put up a selfie video saying, I'm going to be MP for Bulawayo South, and we've never seen a flyer or a t-shirt after? I mean, she has never been stood the test of time of the electorate. Do you understand the issue?
Kuda, can I ask a question? Why are we talking about the same people? We have got a reason why we're only talking about Noma Nyika and Nkosana Moyo. That's why we're not talking about the other 80 people. For that same reason, why we're not talking about.
So some of these other 80 people actually have electoral mandates. People like Elliot Mangoma, for example. You know, people like the people in Zanu Ndonga, they've actually stood there and they've been judged by the electorate before and won or lost. Do you understand? This is the problem we have right now. That even some of the 80 people, they'll say, yes, I didn't have likes per Facebook. And yes, I didn't have but I only like per WhatsApp and Twitter. See, ndakambo pamberi pevanhu and vanhu 10,000 vakambondivhotera ndikatombopinda muparliament. Do you understand? This is the problem we have.
What we're saying is, at this given moment, we cannot base on what people did before. This is why we are still suffering today, because we are holding ourselves before. We need to move from that issue. We need to deal with what is there. Today, the likes are actually working. You are there today because of likes. So let's not just put down the likes. The likes actually contribute, because that's my vote, which I'm actually endorsing you. Me putting a like, I'm actually appreciating what you're doing on this platform right now. So don't do down the like. Let's respect the
No,
like.
I was trying to also show you. I was trying to tell you the argument I hear every day. Because, for example, you would expect that MDC by now would have reached out to even people like me, because I'm a rabble rouser. You say, I found out the communications, the information, got to now. But it's very difficult for them because in their structures, who are the vanguards of the party, and people like me are an actual threat. They don't see us as adding value to the MDC. Do you understand the problem? So we have an actual issue with Zanu PF in Hondo, MDC in Tyro, and never go Hondo for 20 years. So both of them, if you haven't been with us for ages, or you haven't participated in the war with us, you're not eligible. Do you understand? So I'm trying to just tell you guys what's going on as far as the reasons why sometimes it's not easy for you to see me going to become a MDC member. Sometimes they won't even accept me.
It is very difficult, but I'm saying, if we look at it right now, of course, the facts are facts, boys. Personally, I know, with the odds of Zanu winning, they are high because of MDC situation. We all know that. Junta, as it is right now, all they need to do is maybe just bring currency and everything, separate a few things. People will vote for Zanu because the Junta is actually more strong at this given moment. But the thing is, we all know with the Imbava. And we need to do that.
Anyway, Junta, my brother, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you very much, Zanu, for joining us. Listen, we won't take up any more of your time. Apparently, if you move over to the Open Party channel right now, Mr. Obed Mpofu,
the biggest thief in town.
He's like me and Noma combined. He's the fattest thieving cunt on the planet. He's about to be grilled by Temba Mliswa and the parliamentarians. So please, let's go and let's all move over to Open Party. Let's watch Obed Mpofu. If he can even talk with that fat clogging his fat mouth and his fat
Look
tongue.
who's talking.
You know, there's only very few people I can call fat, and that bastard is fat compared to people like
anyway, guys, and if we have an analysis, then we'll come
back. So
thank
please
you
go
so
check that
much
out.
for watching.
I
can't do that. Thank you so much for watching the Tea Party.
We're the Tea Party.
It was fun. I can't do the
Expect us. All right, guys. See you just now. Thank you very much. Go ask Open where the 15 billion was later, guys.